Hello, welcome to Messenger Motorworks. This is kind of a sad video. We're going to try to do a quick repair on this Saab. Issue being it's getting low oil pressure. Common issue on these engines. There was an unfortunate design regarding the positive crankcase ventilation system on these cars. Now this car has the newest revision, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't still things in the engine from, you know, who knows how long ago. This car does have 163,000-ish miles on it, I believe. As you might know, it's my winter car. I did drive this car to Wisconsin a few weeks ago for work, and it started to get a little valve train noise, which was unfortunate. So definitely getting some clogging on the oil pickup. There is some stuff in. Now, the proper fix for this, and I implore any of you to do this proper fix, is to drop the oil pan, clean up the sump, clean out the oil pan, the whole bit, and then reassemble it and put fresh oil in, because usually that's what it takes. In this particular case, I happen to know that I let the oil get low. I was probably a solid 1.5 quart low on this car, which I discovered during that trip to Franklin, Wisconsin. And I filled it up with oil. I actually managed to find, I was at a big travel center and they had 0W40 in stock, full synthetic. So I did put a little oil in it. I put a full quart in it, and within a couple of minutes, the valve clatter on the valve train went away. And I got to Franklin, with an engine still intact. I came back out, I started it up after my meeting there, which was probably a few hours, and I started to drive home, but on the way home I had intermittent valve train noise. And then when I pulled up to my house, and this is a 3-hour trip, I knew I was taking a risk. When I pulled up to my house and let the engine idle back down, there was valve train noise and my oil pressure light came on for a moment. So definitely experiencing an oil pickup issue. Now, I didn't spin a bearing or anything like that. Obviously, when I was driving, there was no oil pressure light, and most of the way home, it was quiet. But again, by the time I pulled up to my house, I was getting valve train noise, and my engine oil pressure light came on. So I know this engine to be a relatively clean engine on the inside. When I drained the oil last time, it was in good shape. So what I'm hoping to do here as a stopgap is I'm going to do an engine flush, which should really kind of be considered regular maintenance on these old Saab T7 engines because of that bad PCV system design. So today I got it up on jack stands. We're going to put in this Motor Medic synthetic motor flush. We're going to let it run for 5 minutes, and then we're going to very thoroughly drain out the old oil. I know the engine to be filled up with oil now. I've checked it, so we're just going to go ahead and dump the whole bit of this in there. And then we're going to fill it back up with some good old, not my favorite, but Mobil 1, because they're the only oil locally that actually has 0W40 without me having to order some online. I also got a Wix filter, which is a pretty decent quality filter. So that's the job. We're gonna kind of get this rolling and see if maybe after it's done, the valve train noise is gone and I don't have an oil pressure light. Now, if I do get some extra valve train noise and within some miles of driving, I'll drop the pan. It's not a bad job, but I kind of like to see if stuff like this works. So I'm going to take a little bit of a risk and document whether or not this is gonna get enough of that sludge out to clear my oil pickup. So we'll see. Again, if it doesn't, no big deal. Dropping the pan is a relatively easy job, especially on the 9.5, because the subframe isn't so in the way like it is on the 9.3s, where you got to lift the engine up a little bit. I think this should be a pretty straightforward job to do, but maybe I won't have to do it. So let's document this potential failure. All right? It's always a struggle. trying to use up my cheap gloves. Watch of the day is my Saab chronograph there. Bought on eBay and repaired by myself. I put a new movement in it and shined up the case and everything. It's nothing fancy. I think I won the bid for like $12, something like that, and then spent probably 3 times the watch is actually worth on repairing it, but I love looking at it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, the oil is full. Add more. Cold engine before changing oil and filter. Use entire bottle. Idle engine at normal speed for 5 minutes. Do not drive vehicle. Duh. Drain all oil. Remove filter, replace, drain, plug, and install new oil filter. Duh. Engines, remove and clean oil pan. Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to get rid of here. So yeah, let's give that a shot. We're a little over 3 minutes in. Only going to 5 minutes. No adverse noises yet. At the 5 minute mark, I'll be shutting it down. We're going to drain the fluid. Okay, we have let the engine run with the motor flush in it for the prescribed 5 minutes. I'm now going to obviously drain the oil and take off the oil filter. Probably just going to have to let it drain for quite some time to make sure that it all gets out of there. I suppose I probably should move the camera to see, maybe we can get a glimpse of what the oil looks like on there. Yeah? All right. It's my certainly not approved oil drain pan. All right, she's a draining. Hopefully it's pulling out some nastiness with it. We're not really getting a great look, unfortunately. I know it's always satisfying to see some clumps of stuff come out of there, but again, this engine wasn't that clogged up, considering it was a very intermittent issue. All right, so what I've done is flushed it, drained the oil all out, changed the filter, put everything back together. I have loaded in 4 quarts, which it just seems like not enough oil, but that's just what these things take. 4 quarts of Mobil 1 Full Synthetic 0W40. Now, given the engine's age, could you probably get away with something a little bit thicker, especially during the summer when it's going to get warm? Yes. But I'm a little bit of a stickler for oil types and what the factory recommends, because, you know, they knew their tolerances and they kind of knew what they were working with. That said, engines do kind of slop up. The Milano, I'll probably run a pretty thick oil in that thing because it's just old and I'm only going to be revving the shit out of it when I'm driving. So, but this, we are now ready to start it up. No doubt there's going to be some valve clatter and such, but we're going to let it run for a few minutes and then maybe let it sit, check the oil level, start it back up again. And really, it's probably going to be up for a couple of drives before I know whether or not this worked itself out. Ran it for 5 minutes, no adverse noise. Check this oil level. Oh, a nice clean, fresh oil. In there. Oh yeah, 3/4 the way up the area. Got a little motorized bike there. So now I do believe it's time for a drive. And, take my wife to lunch and we'll see how it goes, yeah? Are you ready to hear me talk to a camera like a fucking weirdo? Sure. So awkward. Okay, we're in the Saab driving. I have been letting it run quite a lot. We haven't experienced any adverse noises from the valve train. I've got no low oil pressure light. The brakes are nice and rusty from sitting, and the car is really kind of dirty. But we're gonna get some revs on it. Pretty well, kind of doing its thing that it does when it hasn't ran for a while. Not all the power is there, but the valve train sounds nice and quiet overall. Engine's running smooth, rolling along. If I pull it down to let it idle, you know, no low oil light or anything like that. The engine still feels pretty spry considering its age. I'm a little desensitized to the kind of speed that this car makes because I've driven something with something like twice the horsepower, but I still do like the way these Saabs go about. It sounds pretty good. Does it sound good to you, wife? It does sound good to you, doesn't it? Well, anyway, I'll report back if for some reason it does start making noise, but for now, maybe the flush has negated me needing to drop the pan. Maybe it hasn't. Again, if I do need to drop the pan, I'll do it. It's not a tough job, but, you know, when it comes to the winter beater, I can tend to be a tad lazy. Anyway. Move, little Honda Fit. Yeah, seems to be running relatively nicely. Alright. Hey, it's been 3 weeks, about 1,000 miles on the car. I have seen no more of the issues with low oil pressure, whether observed through noise in the valve train or a dreaded low oil pressure light flashing at idle. So, I mean, I can kind of safely say for now that stopgap solution has worked with my car. No guarantees it's going to work with yours. It's not really the right solution to that particular problem. I'm going to probably run the flush through again on my next oil change in 3,000 to 4,000 miles whenever I kind of get to it. And I will do a better job maintaining the oil level in that car probably. I do have a tendency to neglect that thing since it is just kind of the winter thing getting me along. That said, I kind of very much enjoy the car, so I'm going to do a better job at making it happy. That day, it getting me back here from Wisconsin was sheer luck. It was very much just luck that that screen didn't go all the way clogged, I think, and leave me stranded somewhere on 88. So that said, take this advice, you know, carefully. If you're seeing a lot of low oil pressure lights, things like that on your Saab, especially the B205 and the B235s, those are the two engine lines that this really affected with the bad PCV system. Stop, shut the car off, do not drive it. If you really are getting low oil pressure lights, your screens are probably already too far gone for the stopgap solution of, thinning that oil out to get that sludge out of the pan. You're kind of already there. You need to drop the pan, which I may just compulsively do on my car anyway, since it has some oil leaks and stuff that I'd like to patch up. But I'll kind of weigh those options a little bit far into the future. So if this video did anything for you, if it made you more comfortable about this temporary fix, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. There's more projects coming. I promise as summer starts to wind down, I'll have more time to be out here in the garage. I got loads of parts for this thing. Parts are coming for this thing. There's going to be more happening, so please be patient. And there's hundreds of other amazing, talented YouTubers out there to watch. But I'll be popping in here every now and then, and I'll be super flattered if you stick around. Thanks.